Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Friday, November 2nd, 2012. Well, the misery continues in the Northeast, in New Jersey in particular, the hardest hit state by the massive storm Sandy. Power remains out in well over 1.5 million homes in New Jersey. In this particular area in Princeton, New Jersey, our power came on yesterday, but of the staff, about half of them still have no power at home, and we've been informed that we can wait another week or so, or at least can expect to. Tempers are beginning to fray. Lines at gasoline stations are reminiscent of the gas crisis in the 1970s, for those of us who can remember that. Lines in some areas are well over 1 mile long, snaking down state highways, snaking through parking lots of shopping centers, being monitored by police. And then there's a separate line of people carrying little red 5-gallon drums to get them filled up with gas to bring them home and to power their generators. Deaths continue to increase. Approximately 50 people have been killed so far, many of them now dying as a result of asphyxiation as fumes from the generators are improperly being vented into the homes themselves. In some of the areas, the most hardest hit area actually was in Staten Island, New York. It's one of the 5 boroughs. It's a wedge of an island in between New Jersey and New York. Many of the low-lying areas in Staten Island were ordered evacuated by Mayor Bloomberg. Many of the people did not heed the warning, and as a result now they are suffering tremendously. Flood damage has been very extensive. The highest number of deaths in New York City is in this area, and people are complaining very loudly and they're very frustrated. One would wonder why they did not evacuate in the first place. The backdrop against all this, of course, is the massive New York City Marathon, which is scheduled to occur on time this Sunday at 8:30 a.m. The starting place for that marathon, the Staten Island side of the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. The Staten Islanders are up in arms and upset about this. The Wall Street Journal is reporting, that many of the people in New York City lack flood coverage. Flood coverage is an optional coverage. Floods are not covered by standard homeowners policy. The Wall Street Journal estimates that only 1% of housing units in New York City had flood coverage. In areas where flooding had occurred in the past, such as Seaside Heights and other areas in New Jersey, flood coverage take-up was over 60 and 70% in many of those areas. But in places that are not prone to flooding, people did not bother to buy the coverage. Finally, somebody is beginning to realize how big the storm might be. Renaissance Re is saying that it expects the net impact of Hurricane Sandy to be significant. It said that there's significant uncertainty around the impact of the storm. They said Sandy is estimated to have been the largest Atlantic hurricane in diameter ever recorded and to have produced the lowest barometric pressure readings for an Atlantic windstorm north of North Carolina. Ren Re noted that the storm had generated great winds in an area of over 550,000 square miles, and that there currently is a lack of data available from industry participants and clients, resulting in significant uncertainty with respect to potential insured losses from the event. EquiCat, one of the modeling companies, revised their estimate of insured losses now up to $20 billion. So we've seen it go from now 10 billion to 15 billion to 20 billion as the modelers. This could be another Thai flood kind of thing where the amount just keeps increasing. One company that's not particularly worried about this is Allstate. Yesterday in a conference call, their chief executive officer, Thomas Wilson, said that the losses for Allstate for Hurricane Sandy could have been far worse if Allstate had not taken steps in recent years to cut back its coverage in the East Coast. They said that the actions we've taken, this is Wilson, the actions we've taken over the past 5 years in places like in New York and in New Jersey, and all up and along the East Coast, have reduced our policy counts there by about 30%. So they're not worried. Well, good hands indeed. Meanwhile, let's not forget that typhoons are raging about. The 23rd named typhoon of the year struck Asia, this one in southern China yesterday. This is Typhoon San-Tin. It caused the evacuation of about 125,000 people from Guangxi province, destroyed about 750 homes, and economic losses have so far reached $250 million in Guangxi. The Hartford Insurance Company has reported net income of about $401 million for the third quarter, which is well ahead of last year's net income of $60 million. Liam McGee, the CEO, said that plans are well ahead now to sell parts of its life and retirement planning business, and they're going to stick to their knitting and P&C business. No wonder they're making money with it. The final jobs report came out from the U.S. government this morning, the final jobs report that we'll hear before the presidential election on Tuesday. It said 171,000 new jobs were created in the United States in October. The report from the Department of Commerce also said that 84,000 more jobs were created in August and September than previously estimated. Despite the extra unemployment jobs that came in, unemployment in fact increased by a tick, went up 0.1 percentage point from 7.8 to 7.9%. That's a result of an underestimation of September's significantly sharp increase of 0.3%. And yesterday, in a surprise announcement, New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg said that Hurricane Sandy had reshaped his thinking about the presidential campaign and that as a result he was endorsing President Obama. He said that both Obama and Romney had failed to candidly confront the global warming problem, but he decided that Obama was the better candidate to tackle the global climate change that he believes contributed to the violent storm. He said the devastation that Sandy brought to New York City and much of the Northeast brought the stakes of next Tuesday's presidential election into sharp relief. Our climate is changing, and while the increase in extreme weather we've experienced in New York and around the world may or may not be the result of it, it should be enough to compel all elected leaders to take immediate action. Well, from your lips to God's ears, Mayor Bloomberg, somebody needs to do something, and you have to wonder about this when you see those lines of hundreds and hundreds of cars, all with one person in them, sitting there idling, waiting for gas at these gas stations that are open in New Jersey. It's really a law of diminishing returns kind of thing. That's the news for today. Thank you for watching. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Stay safe this weekend.